stardom of the 2026 Academy Awards, also known as the Oscars. The main headline, great vibes. It was almost like a psychological experiment. Coming into this, we all knew it was a great year for movies. For those of you who enjoy movies. For those of you who are like, oh, there was too much emotion in that movie. Well, that's okay. We have a lot of expendables at your disposal that you can check out. But it was really a great year for movies. There were some really critically acclaimed movies. There were, you had F1, which is about as commercial as it gets. It's basically, I don't know if I ever want to say it's basically Top Gun or it's basically Days of Thunder, because Days of Thunder is basically Top Gun. It's like that snake eating itself. For all you intellectuals out there, I'm sure you know what the name of that was. But what was really interesting, to use a phrase that someone's going to have to tell me the etymology of, they really split the baby. So, really, in a way, every film that we wanted to get something got something. So, you look at the overall winner, and if you had a chance to check out the Oscar prediction show, I mentioned that it's their time narrative was really strong. The Force was strong in Luke, and this narrative was very strong this year with PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson. Again, I like There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, Boogie Nights, and Licorice Pizza. All better than One Battle After Another, but that's kind of like saying that's my fifth favorite crumble cookie. They're not paying me for any of this, by the way. Like, it's still a great cookie. I just thought Sinners overall was more impactful, and I do think in 20 years, I don't know why I said 20, in 10 years, Sinners will be the movie we're still talking about. Not One Battle After Another so much. You know, it's kind of like, this is not a Shakespearean love beating Saving Private Ryan situation at all. One Battle After Another is a really good movie. Very enjoyable. But it does remind me a little of the No Country for Old Men when it beat There Will Be Blood, which should have been Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar for Best Directing and Best Picture. No slight to the Coen brothers, but I think that'll be something that'll happen. Is that when we go back to talk about 26, Sinners will be the main thing that we talk about. But that's okay. It was a great movie. It's very deserving. I am happy that he finally got. He didn't get his flowers. He got the Flowers Store. I believe he got Best Adapted Screenplay, Director, and Best Picture. And they took Sean Penn took home the Best Supporting Actor role, which was, I don't know what Kalshi or any of the other markets had it at, but you could have bet everything you had, and you could have felt very confident about that one. So, really cool night. Hamnet, Jessie Buckley gets best actress. That was another one that was a lock. So Hamnet got some recognition. Ryan Coogler won for Best Original Screenplay. It won for Best Actor, Michael B. Jordan. We can talk a little bit about how, I guess, listening to some coverage that Timothée Chalamet there was a pretty heavy, I guess, people were thinking he was going to be a favorite a few months ago. I don't know why. It was a really good performance, but, I think Sinners suffered a little bit. It came out in, I want to say, April of 25. And then when Marty Taprine came out, there was a pretty heavy media campaign by little Timmy. Again, he was great, but Michael B. Jordan was just pretty dominant in that movie. And again, you got to remember there's a story to how these awards are given. All you have to do is look at his Michael B. Jordan speech. He's a humble guy. This guy's been with us for 25 years, going all the way back to The Wire. And again, I don't think this was as much his time narrative as the PTA awards, but it wasn't not that, if that makes any sense. Um, so you had it. So again, Sinners got some flowers, and obviously one battle after another. Hamnet, sentimental value, which was really a beautiful story about reconnecting with fractured family and generational trauma. Again, generational trauma was very evident this year, even with Frankenstein. But it got best international picture, so it got something. So honestly, I felt like between Sinners and Hamnet and One Bell After Another and Sentimental Value, everything, in my opinion, except Begonia, that I thought needed to get some Oscar love, got it. And you know, you're not. I don't know how else you could have split it so that Begonia could have won some award. I can't think of who. There's no one I would take the award away from and give it to anyone there. So you know, uh, just good vibes this year. Good vibes this year. Nothing totally shocking. So happy to see Weapons can put that little Oscar icon on its posters and on its thumbnails on streaming. Weapons was amazing, even if there was some kind of there were a few scenes where you're like, is this supernatural? Is this just a fever dream? But adored that movie, and great to see Amy Madigan win it. Again, I'm looking at the list here. Best Supporting Actress. Uh, I don't know who I would have given it to instead. I mean, maybe Teyana Taylor in One Battle After Another, but again, like with most of these groups, super deserving. Jacob Lordy is really underrated in Frankenstein, so I wouldn't have hated to see him win in Best Supporting Actor. I'm a little torn. In the moment, I may or may not have said, if you're not going to show up and it's not a result of a family emergency, then you should not be able to get an Oscar. I've softened a little on that, but I don't, I still don't love it. So to be honest, while I thought Sean Penn was a lock jaw to win the award, I would have been very happy with Delroy Lindo. I thought he was amazing in Sinners. Um, Best actor in leading role. Just again, looking at the category, I don't see. I mean, Ethan Hawke. If you're gonna give for number of lines he had to memorize, I mean, Blue Moon is basically it's a play. What do they call it? I think I saw someone call it a chamber style film, which I believe just means it's a lot like a play. But I don't care enough to Google that phrase right now. Best actress, it was either going to be Rose Byrne or Jessie Buckley. Rose Byrne would have been awesome. If I had legs, I'd kick you. It is like a violent roller coaster. So I would take the same precautions. If you don't like violent roller coasters, I would not watch that movie. And then yeah, like I said, other than Begonia, I think every movie got recognized in some way. Even K-pop Demon Hunters, which by a lot of metrics was the most popular film of last year, won for best song. Golden. You know, I was rooting for I was rooting for I Lied to You from Sinners, but it's pretty hard when a movie's as popular as Golden, and it's basically a musical and it showcases K-pop. That's fine. They earned it. They should have it. You know, but I Lied to You was cool, and you should check this out. They basically recreated the scene from Sinners, the scene where he starts singing, and then you get this sort of surreal performance of music going back hundreds and forward, another 100, whatever, 50 years, just showing the sort of evolution and origin of music. Really, really cool and really bold by the Academy to try and the producers to attempt to recreate that scene, because that is one of the coolest scenes of 2025. Kudos to them. If you notice, also Jack O'Connell, who, spoiler alert, is a vampire, he even jumped up out of his seat and was somehow involved, and he's wearing fangs. So go back, check that out. Jack O'Connell seems like a bit of a wild man, and he committed to the bit at Oscars, even donning some prosthetics. So all in all, good vibes. Super happy for everybody that won. I know that's really important. They've got to be thinking, was Brad happy for me? Because that's critical. So I just want to jump now to a few just individual topics about the show. So like the bits, the speeches, and the tributes. And so we'll just move through here. There's the goal is for this podcast to be at least a fifth or less in terms of duration of the Oscars. So let's talk about Conan. Conan and I share a sense of humor. He's one of the most lauded writers that had a stint on The Simpsons. I loved his show. It's not for everybody. He's very awkward. He's very self-deprecating. But what I love is he's willing to take shots with jokes and just keeps on trucking along. So I do have to give him credit for one joke in particular. He said that the sequel to F1 is called Caps Lock. The worse the pun, the better for me. And the fact that he's doing a keyboard joke. I mean, guys, this is niche within a niche within a niche, and I appreciate it. The joke about Jesse Buckley's character and Hamnet giving birth in the woods, or as we call it in America, affordable health care. And then maybe his finest work. So Ryan Coogler does not participate in the Academy because I'm paraphrasing, doesn't feel comfortable judging his peers' work. To which Conan said, but the rest of you pricks seem to love it. So that was hilarious. And then the opening, which, I know I said well, they did. Again, weapons. Again, I think there's a real argument that Weapons should have been nominated for Best Picture. I would have had no problem pulling Train Dreams out of it. I just didn't really. That movie is gorgeous and it is well acted, but it is just very. I don't like typically narration. It was. I liked it in Goodfellas with Ray Liotta. That was great, but at least he was a character in the movie. This was more like a Tennessee Williams play kind of thing. Oh, but I would have happily swapped out Weapons for Train Dreams. But it got an Oscar, and it dominated the opening sequence of the Oscars. I think it was Billy Crystal that started the running from, being inserted into all the Best Picture films in some, hilarious way. And if you get a chance, go watch the opening, because he basically the climactic scene of Weapons, they recreate that scene, and they take it through most of the best a good number of the Best Picture nominees. Hilarious, maybe my favorite opening they've ever done, because it's really, I don't want to spoil Weapons for you all, but the ending is iconic, and they certainly locked onto that. As for the bits, and at the end, I'm going to I'll transition us into speeches at the end, because I have a little fault on the bits, but it was rough this year. Let's start with the positive. The bridesmaids ladies all came out, and their bit was they were getting notes from the audience, and they did a hilarious one with Stellan Skarsgård, who had some comments about their looks, and then it was Elle Fanning, but then it was like secretly Stellan Skarsgård again. It was hilarious. I mean, these are five of the funniest people on earth, with Maya Rudolph, Melissa McCarthy, obviously Kristen Wiig and Rose Byrne. So that was really, really good. And then, sorry, the lady from The Office, the unsinkable Kimmy Schmidt. Her name's escaped me right now. I'm so sorry. Mostly, I think she's doing some Kohl's commercials, but that was hilarious. That was really the only funny bit. The rest of them were just cringy as hell. Some of them just didn't even make sense either. Hate to say it. Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans came out to present an award, and they said it was the 14th anniversary of the Avengers, and which I don't know what is your 14th anniversary. It's not diamond. It's not platinum. I guess it's maybe cardboard. I don't know. Maybe it's vibranium. We'll say that's what you should get your loved one. But their joke was, "What did I get you?" And Chris Evans got him assigned something from the Avengers cast. He claims it's in the back. And of course, Robert Downey Jr.'s like, "Oh, I didn't get you anything," and he gives him his valet ticket. It was rough. It was really, really bad. Really bad. And so that bit just landed like a lead balloon. Um, and then we had a Nepo baby come out there who I actually like. So we had Bill and Lewis Pullman, and they were trying to do some joke about like the dad is the original and he's the sequel. Um, and that Bill Pullman they were trying to say he didn't really help him, but he was going to help him be somehow involved in agriculture, and that didn't work out. And then Bill Pullman was like, "Well, it's good that hopefully, people often like the sequel better than the original, but hopefully just by look, it was awful. It was just brutal." And then Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman came out. I love Moulin Rouge. It's a top like 25 movie for me, and maybe like my second or third favorite musical. And they came out and did, and apologies to those watching. We're having some, I think we're having some issues with this auto zoom here thing. But they came out and I thought, well, they're gonna maybe there's something on Moulin Rouge that I'm missing here. And instead they just kind of were they were oddly flirty, which very much felt like a hey, like Nicole Kidman wanted to remind everybody that she's divorced now, and then they started singing Love is all you need," and like I don't know. Again, it was it felt like a AI hallucination or something. So, anyway, that was odd. And then I think that was about it, but it does lead us in to an interesting discussion about how long should the Oscars be? And what should the content be? I would argue that really, unless you have exceptional comedians like the Bridesmaids, or it's the host who really needs to be very, very funny and often is, the bits don't usually work. The talent's half-assing it. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if he thought it would be cool to look like he was just kind of, you know, being a shadow of Tony Stark here or something, but that went on. And then the Pullman thing, like, it was really awkward because Lewis Pullman's done like enough work where you don't necessarily not looking at him thinking about, oh, I wonder if he just got into it and made it because of his father. But it's just like they brought that up, they made it really awkward. Most people often don't think the sequel's better than the original, so that made no sense at all. Um, can we cut this stuff? I guess let me not do the same thing. We need to cut this stuff. Unless it's hilarious, it needs to be cut. And I'm going to tell you why, and this will move us into speeches. Golden, again, K-pop Demon Hunters, one of the big hits of the year, wins its award. One person gets up there, I believe it's the lead singer. She speaks, takes a few minutes, and then one other person is going to try and get up there and speak. And they just cut him off, hard cut him off. The cameras even kept on him for a bit, thinking that, at the egging on of the crowd, which they were, they would let this person speak. And I just remember thinking, this is not about a night for bad comedy, which again, those 3 bits were awful. Like improv class for beginners, and they're all having a very bad day. Awful. I want to hear what he has to say. If I'm watching the Oscars, I'm watching because I want to hear. I want to hear from the people that made these movies. That's what we're here for. We're not here to do the worst impersonation of Saturday Night Live that has ever existed. So next time, just let them talk, which does move us right into speeches. So Kugler was amazing. He was very nervous. It was so cool, though, to hear his West Coast accent. He's so real. He's so kind. His speech was great. You can tell he's about those stories, and you could tell the way the crowd reacted, which was also the same with Michael B. Jordan, who gave one of the most, I don't know if he had these remarks prepared. He struck a perfect, if he did, he struck a perfect balance between, like, I've been planning this all week, with, I just came up here I'm gonna do this off the cuff. His opening line was "What up, mama?" Which was amazing. He brought his mother. She was sitting there in the front row with him. He shouted out his father. But what was really cool, he seemed just so normal. He was like, you know, thank you all for taking this journey with me. Thank you for believing. It was like he was thanking us, as if, for really, really supporting him. And I've got no problem when people want to be hardcore auteurs, when they want to come up there and, Daniel Day-Lewis, and, like, they don't even know we exist, or if they do, they don't want to talk. Yeah, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with it. But Michael B. Jordan was just so gracious. In a time where so many people show such little graciousness, it was super refreshing. So happy for him. Amy Madigan's was hilarious. When she got up there and cackled at first, I thought, oh, get a little nervous, but she crushed it. She was so funny and real, and mentioned her dogs, and of course her husband's Ed Harris, and we've been together 40 years, which is forever. She was wonderful, and just so easy and free. And then the cinematographer for Sinners. If anybody wants to produce my show for free, they should absolutely feel free to come out here and do it. Her first name, let's see here. This is okay. Autumn Gerald Arcapa. Forgive me if I butchered that. So she wins for Sinners. And I don't know if y'all know this, but this was the first time in the history of the Academy Awards that a woman has won Best Cinematographer. It only took 98 years, which is just preposterous on its face. She gave a wonderful speech. She asked for all the women in the crowd to stand up, and it did not come off is overly preachy or anything like that. It just came off wonderful and dignified and earned, and that was really cool. That was a great moment. Any other speeches I want to hit? PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson's speeches were great. I thought it was hilarious. He said he held up his Oscar and said y'all really they really make you work for it, and boy, they have made him really, really work for it. He was wonderful. he's a very soft-spoken person, but the speech was great. So, MJ, really everybody. I love Jessie Buckley's, but we won't keep going on and on. Her speech was really awesome too. Uh, the only so the person that won for short live action, I think one of them. Oh gosh, we had to go back to the ballet opera Timothy Chalamet controversy. Like, Conan did a hilarious job with it at the start, poking some lighthearted fun. They cut to Chalamet. He's taking it on stride. But then we had the fart sniffer get up there for whoever this person was and say something, well, we love all the arts, including ballet and opera. It's just like, man, you're not up there screaming about tearing down the wall between, East and West Berlin. Like, Timothy Chalamet made like funny, whatever. You can take it as funny, you can take it as mildly insulting. Take it however you want. It's a free country, and he's free to say it. It was about I don't know. In a world where offensive things are said seemingly every day now, this is not on the radar. Ballet and opera are great. If you enjoy it, support it. And if a super young actor makes a joke that he doesn't want it to go the way, when Family Guy constantly pokes fun that vaudeville's dead, people don't lose their minds about how dare you, sir? Vaudeville is a great art form. Oh, there's my there he is again. Daniel Plainview never leaves us. So I thought that was really the only evidence of Hollywood-based self-fart sniffing that occurred. So that was pretty cool. And then let's see here. Last thing we want to talk about were the tributes. So the Rob Reiner tribute was great. Billy Crystal comes out. Rob Reiner never got an Oscar. So while I, again, wouldn't have minded seeing Coogler take that home, I'm glad Paul Thomas Anderson got his Oscar, because, every year we move forward, we're 1 year closer to death. And on that note, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. But it would be one of the great tragedies in the history of film if, let's just say, PTA decides he's going to move to Machu Picchu and live out his days in a hut and never makes another movie, and he therefore would never get an Oscar, and that would just be preposterous. So Rob Reiner, no Oscar, but a wonderful tribute. Diane Keaton's, I did not realize how close Rachel McAdams was with her. Recounted a story where Diane Keaton used to talk about this poem that was about making and keeping friendships and cherishing friendships. Definitely a crying moment in the show. So those two were beautiful. And then there's Robert Redford's, where a very airy and Barbra Streisand came out and told a story where she said the word Babs probably 12 times. And that was the whole story, how I never looked like a Babs. And I got news for her. I don't know much about her. I know he's not the only one that called her Babs. I've heard that a lot. So I don't think that was endearing. Like, the story that Rachel McAdams told, I was like, oh wow, my gosh, that was, right in the feels. And then she started, singing. It felt very like when Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig did that singing duo on SNL where they sing the songs. Like, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's not that she was bad. It's not that she was good. It was weird, and would have liked it to be more about Robert Redford. And then the only other thing I'd add is, I know we had a lot of people die this year, but Robert Duvall needed his own. He needed his, this guy, everything from Godfather to Apocalypse Now to Kicking and Screaming, which is just a silly comedy. Um, all the way. I mean, just go look at his IMDb. This man needed this actor, this performer needed their own. And again, we can cut all the Robert Downey and Chris Evans silliness, and we can squeeze in a Robert Duvall um a Robert Duvall tribute. So all in all, you know, my critiques about length, as we like to say, and allowing the no, I want to hammer this one last time. I really, really, really would wish let's not put the hook on people anymore. It's the Oscars. This is the one night a year where the most people pay attention to an award show that has to do with movies, and it's more fun to hear these people talk. Sometimes you get things you weren't expecting. Sometimes they're funnier. Sometimes you're sobbing, but it's so much better than these canned little bits that they have presenters do that probably waste at least 30 minutes a night. Like, please stop. Let the comedians crack the jokes. And we can leave the Pullmans to, just be in the audience, or just honestly get up there and say, uh, here's the nominees. So anyway, that's all we got. Um, Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you later.